Okay. Yeah. Thanks everyone, and also thanks for Juicy and IOSG team's invite. I'm YQ, founder of AltLayer. Today, I will share some sort of new progress and updates from our side. Basically, our close collaboration and partnership with EigenLayer to introduce these Restaked rollups to the entire blockchain industry. As we know, right, for the past 2 to 3 years, there are a lot of rollup stacks like Optimism, OP Stack, Arbitrum, Orbit, Polygon CDK, and also ZK Sync, ZK Stack. If we say like 3 years ago to build a rollup, no matter it's optimistic rollup or ZK rollup, it was so difficult. We need like $100 million and probably 100 like sort of people team to rebuild it. But with the development for the past 3 years, we already make all the rollup standards sort of quite mature. And that's why, for example, for us, with the official partners with all these 4 big rollup stack providers. And at the same time, we are providing this sort of like one-click rollup launching platform. So basically, developers, you can quickly launch a rollup for all different tech stacks within a few minutes or almost within a few hours. And since with so many these rollup providers, and at the same time, there are a lot of mature infrastructure service providers, now we can see launch a rollup is as easy as deploy sort of smart contracts on Ethereum. And so based on our expectation, by the end of this year, we can definitely have hundreds of rollups in different sectors. No matter it's a general purpose L2s, similar to OP, Arbitrum, or Polygon, ZK EVM, or there will be a lot of application rollups, like these doing these on-chain games, or doing social applications, or even doing all different new DeFi protocols like perps. However, as we can see, right, no matter for the existing big general purpose L2s or for the new application rollups, all of them are quite constrained with the existing technology we can have. For example, for all the existing rollup stacks, we always have a single sequencer. So in that case, for big brands like Optimism, Arbitrum, or even Coinbase Base, we can trust them because they have good backers and have good reputations. But however, for a lot of new rollups, basically launched by some anonymous developers, since it's just a single sequencer, even there's a fraud proof or ZK proof, we couldn't really trust the single sequencer. So there's an issue like sort of a single point failure or censorship issues, or even this kind of trust issues for the existing rollup stack. Beyond that, we all know that since we have the TVL in different rollups, right? It always have these liquidity fragmentation issues when we have these DeFi protocols and assets across different rollups. Okay, on our side, working closely with EigenLayer team, we really proposed this Restaked rollup by the end of last year. So one thing, like a lot of misunderstandings about this Restaked rollup. So Restaked rollup is not a new rollup stack. As I mentioned at the beginning, right, we are working closely with all the rollup stack providers. When we provide the features of Restaked rollup, it's a plug and play and compatible with all the existing rollup stacks. And the second thing that we are not building a dedicated sort of L2 or rollup. Some people or friends reach out to us and say, oh, what's AltLayer's L2 and how we deploy a smart contract on it? Actually, it's a big misunderstanding. We don't really build like sort of a dedicated rollup for this Restaked rollup. It's just a framework. And the third thing that we don't really change the security guarantee of the rollup. For example, if it's an optimistic rollup, it's secure by this fraud proof. If it's a ZK rollup, we have the ZK proof to ensure the security derived from this Ethereum. Then what are the Restaked rollups can offer? The first thing, as I mentioned, right, it's a modular framework which is compatible with all the existing rollup stacks. You have your rollup with OP stack or Arbitrum Orbi or Polygon CDK. You can always use the features provided by Restaked rollup. And at the same time, it can provide better decentralization, security, and also faster finality. And later, I will just show you how it can achieve all these fancy features. As I mentioned, right, without the contributions from the different rollup stacks, the solutions, and also EigenLayer, we won't have the Restaked rollup. And at this stage, we provide 3 very unique features for the Restaked rollup. The first one is the decentralized verification. As I mentioned, right, since for the existing rollup, we only have the single sequencer. For some new rollups, probably people don't really trust the result of the single sequencer. So in that case, we need a dedicated and trustworthy decentralized network to do the extra verification and provide the trustworthy results. And on top of that, we also provide a solution called MARC. For a lot of DeFi protocols, exchanges, and also for the user, right? Sometimes we don't want to wait for 7-day challenge period for optimistic rollup, or these few hours ZK proof generation for ZK rollup. So we have this unique feature called MARC to provide faster finality. Basically, user can quickly get the finalized block result within a few seconds for different rollup stacks. And the last one is called Squad. Basically, we provide this decentralized sequencing with a dedicated network of the sequencers to help to precise and also generate the blocks for the dedicated rollups. And as you can see, right, all the things are part of the implementation of EigenLayer's AVS system. It's called actively validated services. I believe Suram mentioned in the early talks. And in general, right, as you can see, EigenLayer is not just about restaking. Right now, we know everything is quite hyped around these eigen points and LRTs, right? But it's just one of the way to lock the ethers for the eigen system. But in the end, the system is to provide the shared securities or pool security for all different applications, like I mentioned for the AVS. So all these features, all the 3 services we provide, right, are secured by these EigenLayer's staked ETH. So in that case, as you can see, right, it's sort of like we run the different networks for different services. At the same time, all of them derive the shared security from this EigenLayer system. Okay, for the first one, as I mentioned, right, for Vital, why we need a decentralized verification? Because a lot of people may have the thought that since we already have the fraud proof and the ZK proof for rollups, right, we don't really need another layer of the verification for the rollup itself. However, as I mentioned, since most of the rollup at this stage, they are still single sequencer. If you don't have a very good backers or good reputation, sometimes for your own rollup, the users or even some developers, they may not want to trust the result from your single sequencer. Even sometimes we say that, okay, it's a ZK rollup, we have the prover to generate the proof. But even at this stage, right, the prover is also a single sort of machine to generate the proof. As you can see, there's still the issue of a single point failure, and at the same time, it's basically trust me bro model for most of the rollup stacks. That's why we really need a relatively decentralized network with a lot of operators from like Feynman, Coinbase, Cloud, or some other like famous operators to run this verification software and generate a ZK proof to show that, okay, the result or transaction blocks from the sequencer are basically re-verified and secure. And on top of that, right, we really need to have another layer to provide much easy, accessible like interfaces for users and developers. That's called MARC. And sometimes, as we can see, right, if we look at the finality for dedicated rollup, let's leave this 7-day challenge period for OP rollup or these few hours ZK proof generation for ZK rollup alone. Even we confirm like sort of the states or the data posted to the L1, We all know that Ethereum's finality takes around like 30 minutes or even longer. So in that case, typically we say the L2's finality is around like 30 minutes or even longer. But for a lot of protocols like DeFi protocols, perps, and also for exchanges, they can't wait that long. So in that case, that's why we have an overlay like this mark on top of the decentralized verification layer to provide like sort of the quick query results for a lot of these DeFi protocols and exchanges. So they don't need to wait for the confirmation of the data posted to the L1. At the same time, they can quickly get the finality within a few seconds. Another example is sort of the bridge system. As we can see, right, every rollup has a native bridge. So it's much easier for you to bridge asset from the L2 to the L1. However, for optimistic rollup, it takes like sort of 7 days. And for ZK rollup, it takes a few hours or sometimes like 24 hours like ZK Sync. In that case, right, typically we have a lot of this liquidity-based bridge, right? For this liquidity-based bridge, typically they get the query results from the single sequencer. But you know, it's not as secure if the sequencer behave maliciously from some like small rollup. So in that case, to get better like sort of result, more trustworthy result, right? We need this layer like mark to do the extra verification and also provide much trustworthy much trustworthy results for these developers and also bridges. And the last thing is the squad. Different from this shared sequencing mechanism like our partner Expresso. Here is mainly to decentralize the sequencer with a bunch of nodes. Because some of our partners and customers, they somehow get the guidelines from the government that if it's a single sequencer, then they will be treated as a custody. So they need to apply for this custody license. So in that case, you must have a bunch of nodes at the sequencer to do the transaction processing and also this block generation. This can easily avoid this single point failure and just to make sure they can also mitigate these censorship issues. And as you can see, right, for all the three services, we leverage this EigenLayer's AVS system and run different set of operators to make sure like it's relatively decentralized. At the same time, if any of these operators or nodes behave maliciously, their stake from this sort of EigenLayer system will be slashed. So that's a way why a lot of projects and sort of systems would like to leverage the shared security from Eigen to build this relatively decentralized system. As you can see, right, for all these different systems, like we are trying to launch the mainnet as early as possible. That's why we have different phases for this mark. And soon we will launch this mark alpha, as you can see, beyond leveraging the shared security of the state ETH from EigenLayer. We can also stake our own token, our token, to basically earn the yields by delegating their assets into the operators. If we take a mark as an example, right, we actually provide multiple modes for the operators or nodes to be part of the system. One is the pessimistic mode. Because for a lot of the rollup stacks, right, it's quite straightforward to run the full nodes, and if you want to become part of the system, actually you can run the full nodes for the dedicated for the sort of the rollup sequencer. In that case, YS is a pessimistic mode because it needs to re-execute almost every transaction and recalculate the MPT trade. There's another more like sort of energy-friendly mode. It's called optimistic roll. Similarly, like the nodes still run either full node or some verification software to do the extra verification. But at the same time, they only like submit the alerts or challenge when there's something wrong. So one way, as you can see, right, it's like off-chain bisection protocol, quite similar to the fraud proof system. On the other hand, we also created this on-demand ZK proof mechanism with our close partner RiskZero to generate the ZK proof and to make sure like the L1 can quickly verify this ZK proof without doing this bisection from the fraud proof. So after that, as you can see, right, for both the two modes, they may not like sort of do the proof generation frequently. There's another way called the third mode, validity proof mode. So in this mode, as you can see, the operators for the mark system, they will generate the decay proof regularly. The good thing, like, we will work with some of our partners to aggregate these proofs and just to reduce the cost on the verification part. And with this validity proof mode, right, everyone can quickly get the result from this re-verified transaction from this rollup. As I mentioned today, right, so working together with AltLayer, we provide the first Restaked rollup for a lot of partners. We already lined up around like over 10 projects in different sectors like gaming, social, BTC layer 2, and the different DeFi protocols. Together with the Restaked rollup, right, we really want to build a very decentralized, more secure, and at the same time with better and fast finality rollup networks for all different applications in the near future. Yeah, that's all the presentation. Thanks, everyone.